My problem is, I'm a little, hearing, my hearing is not too good, and I'm not understanding quite a bit of what you've been said here. Is there any way I could get with the developer or whoever that is and go over this individually? So I can get a clear meaning of what it means to me, because I'm directly affected by it.
Sir, do you have any problem meeting with him after
I do
tonight's
not.
meeting?
I do
Okay.
not.
What's it?
I have no problem meeting afterwards, or maybe sometime this week or next week.
Oh, okay, all right.
He'll meet with you before it goes to city council. Could you, maybe you can, yes.
He'll meet with you before city council meeting,
Before,
or the next city council meeting,
the next to what?
city council meeting.
Next
You
Thursday.
gotta meet with him, Mr. Boston, before it goes to the next meeting. Is there anyone else who has any comments or testimony they'd like to provide before I close public comment this evening? Last chance to provide any questions, comments, or testimony.
Can I do one more?
I'm being generous this evening, so sure.
One of the things is in regards to open space. If you look at the last slide that he had, that it showed the layout of the homes, there's green space behind the individual homes. Is that considered part of the open space, or is that a swale, drainage? Or is that included in the length of the lots? You can't count it both ways. You can't count it as open space and part of the yard. So that just seemed kind of strange that they have that green space. Is that to fulfill the requirements on open space, but it's really part of another yard? If you look at the layout, you'll see the green spaces that, you have houses here, and a green space in between. What is that? Is that part of the overall length of the yard or not? What is it?
Do you have any other questions, sir?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right, well, I'm gonna close public comment, and I've written down my questions and everybody else's questions. So we'll start with the one that was just asked about the open space, if the applicant would like to respond, or staff would like to respond.
Either way.
Be my guest.
Okay, sure,
Fine.
thank you. I think there are two questions on open space. First of all, was the percentage. 25% is basically the gross area of the development. The project is 71 acres in size, so the requirement is 25% of the 71 acres. That has been an ongoing part of the ordinance for many years. And so what we do is we look at it and say, okay, what is included? What's included in the open space, buffers, the area between the lots, that's common landscaping. We are actually we have a plan to plant trees and that which we maintain by the HOA or CDD. All the buffers are also owned and maintained by the same, as is the dry retention area in the back, which we landscape. So all those areas, when you add them all up, as I said, somewhere, I think it's a little bit more than 26, but it's around 30% of it. So we more than exceed the open space requirement.
And just to be clear, everywhere where it's indicated green would be considered part of the open space?
Yes.
Thank you. As far as unity of title, that included.
A unity of title is not required until such time as they submit for preliminary plat or site plan approval. Either one of those is what, it has to be submitted at that time.
And that's assuming that annexation is approved, the
Yes.
future land use is approved, and the rezoning is approved, then it would go to that portion.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. I know that Lake County is working to do interlocal agreements with the cities regarding annexation. Does Fruitland Park have an existing agreement at this time?
No, the city does not.
And I know that we discussed variances in the PUD zoning. What is the city's opinion about PUD zoning? Is this flexible zoning or restrictive zoning as applied through Fruitland Park?
PUD zonings are negotiable, so they don't have to adhere to the code. We call them waivers or variances, but that's part of the negotiation of a PUD.
And working my the housing analysis that's being referenced about the shortage of housing, can you give some background about that analysis and the current status?
The, data that I utilized was based on the existing comp plan analysis. It's the data and analysis, taken from the comp plan. I do know that the city has and is keeping track of development and the units. I don't have that information in front of me right now, but I would also like to indicate that the comp plan policies and the future land use, indicate that the city is required to designate additional lands above the needs that are shown, so not to cause an economic impact. I can have that data available for the city council meeting, regarding, what our current track is and how many units, that are proposed, and, how many, recent subdivisions that may have been developed that would go against that number.
Would you please make sure that that's available for the city council meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, lastly, it's the, understandable concerns regarding wastewater and the CUP, and how that would impact this development.
The city currently has an agreement with Lady Lake that provides up to 500,000 gallons per day. It is set to expire, in the middle of October. We've had ongoing negotiations with Lady Lake. They are only willing to extend 5 years, but at the reduced, capacity of 150,000 gallons per day. That will be coming to the city commission for consideration at its next, commission meeting, which is next week. And we'll see if they approve the agreement. The city is currently in engineering, so there is an ongoing project that has been approved by the commission. And so it's at the time of development where they actually, meet the capacity that we would reanalyze when they get ready to do construction plans, whether they meet concurrency. One of the changes that will be made in the MDA, is providing that there is not sufficient capacity, or they may not be sufficient capacity for this project to move forward, or do so only at the risk of the developer. That will be inserted into the MDA, as we have some recently, included in other MDAs that have come forward.
And that would be the developer's agreement, so.
Correct.
Where the developer is agreeing that if there's insufficient capacity, they're not able to develop?
Right, that we could not approve the construction plans, essentially.
And I would also like to add that the future land use policies indicate that, even if capacity was not available at such time as the comp plan amendment, was approved, that it does allow for, at the time of development, that the applicant himself or the city, it assures that the capacity is there. And, so that's another safeguard in the, land use analysis.
So at this point, the developer is taking all the risk by trying to move forward without any, guarantee about capacity, since there is no contract for future capacity and there's no structure to expand that capacity.
Correct.
Okay. And I am merely here as an advisory board, to explain whether or not they've met the minimum criteria to move forward for the review of city council. And ultimately, city council will be making all of the decisions whether to approve or deny the annexation of the future land use or the rezoning to, planned unit development for residential properties. But having reviewed all of the documentation, I do believe it meets the minimum requirements to move forward, and that there's been competent substantial evidence to support that it meets the minimum criteria. So I would recommend approval of the annexation, the future land use contingent on the approval of the annexation, and the rezoning contingent on the approval of the future land use and the annexation. Is there any other business in tonight's meeting?
No.
And then, these will all be heard at the September 10th meeting. Is that correct? So if there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.